morning and welcome back to a new day. Thank you very much to Nana Abba and our studio guest for this slightly extended news review this morning. Just one quick comment, and it was about the Lil Wayne picture. Nana Abba, monkey no fine, but a mother like him. That's all. We're going to go into our little business segment this morning. And in case you're a young person, and this probably hasn't stepped into your mind as yet, if you're middle ages or slightly older, then yes, you've probably been thinking about it, but may not know too much. That's why we're in the studio this morning. We have Mr. Carl Tufor, who's the Public Education Manager at SSNIT. And today we're going to be talking about pensions. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Benny.
How are you?
By His grace.
Great, good stuff. Now, like I was saying, I mean, most young people nowadays trying to find their first job, even getting into the employment market and not thinking about retirement and pensions. So kindly just, inform us, first off, what is a pension and why is it important?
Well, basically, it comes under the what we call Social Security, where it's been part of a United Nations declaration going back to 1948. And basically what pensions in this country or Social Security in this country is all about is simply about replacing or partial replacement of lost income due to retirement in terms of old age and due to some level of disability. Right. So that basically is what it's all about. And it's for your future.
Right. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, dealing with retirement or dealing with some kind of disability. So this is basically planning for the future.
Absolutely.
Ahead, as far ahead as possible. So in what terms? I mean, when should I start saving? When should I start planning for my retirement?
Well, basically, it's not a case of when should you start. The law is explicit. It's black and white here. There's no gray area. It says that the moment you have an employer-employee relationship, the employer has got to make sure that you put something down for your future benefit.
Right.
So clearly that's the law, and it's for you to also do that. Now the breakdown is very simple. If, for instance, you are earning, let's say, a basic salary of 100 Ghana cedis, okay, it means that they'll take 5.5% of your basic salary.
Yes.
From your money.
Yes.
Put it down for you. And then the employer must also contribute 13% of yours. So in the case of 100 cedis, they'll take 5 cedis, 50 pesos. Yes. That makes it, that means you take home 94 cedis, 50 pesos.
That's right.
But your employer must also add 13 cedis to it.
Right.
So that brings it to 18 cedis, 50 pesos.
So that's
that is also very good. And that is sent over to SSNIT.
Right.
When that comes to SSNIT, out of that amount, 2.5% goes to the National Health Insurance, NHIS. And then another 5% goes to what they call the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. They are the supervisors of SSNIT, and they will take care of the second tier. So SSNIT then has 11% and uses that money to invest, and in investing, making sure that when you hit
your retirement age,
which is 60 in this country, you'll start getting a monthly pension until you die. Okay. If you go to other countries, but not necessarily until you die. And if you go to other countries,
pause you for one moment, Carl, because we're going to take a quick look at a quick video, give us some more insight into what's happening, and we shall resume in just a second. Stay with us.
Today, there is an information about the importance of saving enough money for a comfortable and secure retirement. Sufficient financial resources in retirement are important, but according to research, money is only one part of the equation for a happy and productive life after one stops working. What do people think about this?
It is time for everybody. Once you are born, you know that one day you grow old, you retire, the energy will not be there for you to carry on all the activities you were doing. So you have to prepare adequately for it. If not, when you are taking unawares, at the end of
you might already a pension. Yes, and wow, bet me, you bet me at an FS, bet me a giant, you am trying out to me giant. It depends on how the market is running. See, I thought the idea, or we get up a macro. It depends on how the market is running.
Planning in terms of developing other interests and making a gradual transition in terms of where you drive your self-esteem is a very crucial part of adequately preparing oneself for retirement. For men and women who define themselves by their career, leaving that identity behind is often very difficult.
All right, welcome back. And if you're just about joining us this morning, we are talking about pensions or preparing for your retirement. And in the studio with me this morning is Carl Tufor. He's the Public Educations Manager at SSNIT. And basically, he's just, broken down the percentages of our contributions. Now, how much should one save for their retirement, hypothetically?
Well, as much as you can. I mean, when it comes to pensions, when it comes to Social Security, when it comes to the law itself, then it means that you, as well as your employer, must put the money down for. But in terms of generality, in terms of savings, well, you've got to save, haven't you? Because you don't know what the future is. And it will come to a certain time when your bones become weak, you can't really work. Regardless, everybody's going to die.
Yes.
So that's when you know that, have you invested your money?
Right. Okay, now, I mean, for instance, we have situations here in Ghana where not everybody would say, plan for their retirement in regards to a pension. They've got stuff like Susu and all the rest and go and put their money in different sources. I mean, what's the difference between having those local options compared to SSNIT and having a pension
scheme?
Let
me put it this way. I'm not here to denigrate any private company, so I'm not going to go in that direction. But if you look at the new Pensions Act, they've got what we call a three-tier system. The first one is the monthly one that's being handled by SSNIT.
Yes.
The second one, which is also mandatory, very much like the first one, is where the NPRA, that's the National Pensions Regulatory Authorities, register trustees, fund managers, custodians, and the 5% that goes to the whichever company you choose, they're supposed to invest that money and give it back to you when you go on retirement in terms of a lump sum.
Okay.
Previously, SSNIT used to do that.
Right.
What happened was SSNIT used to have 17.5%. They would, when you go on retirement, they would calculate what your earning power had been and take what would have been 25% and giving it to you as a lump sum. That is no more part of SSNIT's mandate. The third tier is probably where you would find your Susu, the thing you're talking about, in the sense that that's a voluntary, remember, it's not mandatory, like the first two, and it's a privately managed one. So we don't normally talk about, as SSNIT, we don't normally talk about the second and third tier. We leave that to the Pensions Regulatory Authority. But we focus and emphasize on the basic monthly pension, which is now solely the mandate of SSNIT. And because people's salaries are a bit low in this country, if we were to sit down and just say, okay, this is what you brought in and so this is what you're going to get, that wouldn't wash. And that's why the money must be prudently invested. And there are many investments that SSNIT are involved in, and that's what used to top up basically what people have contributed in terms of their for their pensions when they go on retirement.
Okay, great. Now, what would you advise? I mean, obviously you work for SSNIT, but a young person just about starting or wanting to put their money into maybe a private or a SSNIT pension plan, what are some of the things that they should be looking out for?
The first thing is that whether he or she likes it, the first tier must be mandatory. So must the second tier. Now, I'm not going to focus much on the first tier because that is fixed in this particular area. You're going to get this amount taken from your salary, your employer puts this amount, and then they hand it over to SSNIT, and SSNIT invests the money. When you go on retirement, they work on it. What is a bit of a problem is when workers in collusion with employers, or employees in collusion with their employers, decide that they are going to, quotation marks, reduce their basic salary. Let me give you an example. For instance, if your basic salary is $1,000, no, if I'm an employer, you're an employee,
yes,
and I come to an agreement with you, I'm going to give you 1,000 cedis a month. I can make your basic salary 100 cedis, and allowances will take up the rest of the 900.
Right.
Okay. So your contribution will be based on the 100 cedis.
Yeah.
But if your contributions, your basic salary was 500, that means you'd have been putting more. And don't forget that your pension that you'll get at the end of the month is based on what you do.
You're contributing, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there are some people and some companies who go underground and do this.
So, but isn't that just cutting their nose to spite their face? I mean, at the end of the day...
Well, at the end of the day, you see, the crux of the matter is that the employer may not necessarily want to pay more.
Okay.
Because if your basic is 1,000, then he's going to pay 150. Whereas if your basic is 100, then he's going to pay, 1,000, that's 130. If it's 100, and it's 13 cities.
Have there been situations where the employer has been, undertaking or doing some...
Even worse than that, there are some times when the employers simply do not pay the contributions. Months upon months.
Okay. I mean, since we've opened that coffin right about now, what are the consequences for employers who don't
Absolutely
pay?
massive. I mean, I don't want to... This is not about, please, this is not about what happened to Georgia Goody. But that's a typical example.
Yeah.
And recently, or lately, over the past, 11 weeks, SSNIT have been publishing in the newspapers regularly.
Yes. We've even seen
names of default, absolutely, names of defaulting companies.
Yeah.
And that's massive.
So it's naming and shaming as well.
Absolutely. And of course, there's what they call the Saturday courts. You may not know about it.
We've heard about it this morning.
Very good. Yep. They go to court, they really work at it. And people are convicted. Right. And unfortunately, they quote a big name like...
Yeah. Okay, so what, for instance, what about laborers? People who do manual labor or jobs whereby it doesn't take too much for them to actually do their jobs. However, when it comes to literacy, reading and writing, they may not be able to.
Critical thing here, the law states where there is an employer-employee relationship, you've got to contribute. Period. Many of us are getting away with murder. Let's not mince words. How many of us have house helps?
Loads.
Do we contribute? Do we pay social security for them?
Right.
Now that's in clear violation of the law. Let's not mince words. So when it comes to the laborer, so long as you put me, no matter whether it's temporary or permanent, short-term contract or long-term contract, you've got to contribute. Each person is going to have a specific number, so that if I am a laborer, like you're saying, let's say in construction, I finish with this job and I move to another company to work on that one. That number that has been given to me, I take it along with me. It's for you for life. And that's what you've got to keep on doing. Other than that, what happens is that if you go to another company and get a new number, then it becomes a bit of a problem reconciling.
Yeah, because you have duplicate.
Absolutely. And it takes a while. When your pension is due, then now you're waiting a month because we're looking at the system trying to blend the two.
That's right. Okay, so I mean, in regards to this, is basically the more transparent you are in regards to your payment towards SSNIT, the more cushion you will have.
Absolutely.
When you are facing retirement.
Yeah.
And you said retirement age is 60.
60 in this country.
Yeah. Do people actually bang on 60? Is that when it kicks in, or do people continue contributing and then later on?
The moment you hit 60, if you continue working, you may have your own company.
Yeah.
Or somebody may employ you on the basis of contract.
Yes.
You stop contributing to
SSNIT. Right. Okay.
There's an age, what we call, there's an age range in which you can. The earliest age at which you can start your contributions to SSNIT is 15.
Okay.
And the last age is 45. The reasons being that when they work out your pensions, the law states that you must have contributed for a minimum of 180 months. That's 15 years.
Right.
So if you join the scheme at 46,
yes, I get
you're very good.
Yeah.
So it's 15 to 45. Now you can go on what we call early or voluntary retirement at the age of 55.
Right.
That's there.
Okay.
It's only that you have a reduced pension.
Okay.
But you still get your monthly pension till you die. But it will not be what you should have had.
Okay, so what about a young person like me? I've made a huge amount of money. I decided I want to retire early and go and sit somewhere. I mean, how does that work out?
Make a huge amount of money in terms of you being contributing to SSNIT?
Yes.
Fantastic. At what age?
Let's just say hypothetically from the age of 18.
No. I mean, when do you want to go on retirement?
Next year.
Next year. At what age?
I'm going to reveal my age here.
No. Any age. Let's take a hypothetical age.
Okay, 27.
27. Then in that case, all you're going to have is your contribution will be calculated at the current rate and given back to you as a one-off lump sum.
A one-off lump sum.
That's all. Finish. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay.
So no pension for you.
No pension.
Unless you continue.
Yes.
Until you hit the 180 months contributions, and then you hit officially the age of 60. Then you have the full pension.
Okay. All right. So if you're out there and you're listening this morning, the more you contribute towards your pension, the more you get when you actually hit your retirement age. And if you're like me and want to retire early, then make sure that you understand the full ins and outs of it. You'll get a lump sum. Is that right? You get a lump sum for the...
That's it. It's like something that's given to you off because you have not satisfied all the requirements required to have a monthly pension.
Okay, great. Now, at this point in time, I mean, obviously, you being the public education manager at SSNIT, national platform, what is the message that you want to give to actual people out there so they know what to do?
It's not just one message. There are many messages I probably want to give out. First, if any worker is out there and that worker wants to, if the boss is not paying your social security, just give us a call. 0302 667742.
Right.
Just give it a call. We will not reveal who you are. You have a task force sitting there waiting to move out, and they go out anyway, and they go and inspect people's books. So if your boss is not doing what he has to do, give us a call straight away.
You send somebody out there
absolutely
to do the necessary investigation.
Because there's so many people trying to avoid it. And if you look at the list that we've been sending out, you'll be amazed.
All right. Now, let's just talk a little bit about like the financial burden that has been put on you from people not contributing towards SSNIT. I mean, you're taking people to Saturday court at the moment, trying to retrieve funds that have been not paid. What's the next step? I mean, obviously, public public education is there, and the importance of paying these, contributions is investment as well for the nation. Am I lying?
Yeah.
Let's expand on that a little bit more. I mean, what are some of the investments that SSNIT is doing with our money that we can actually look at and see, yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel?
Let me raise my hand and say that it's not everything that has improved rosy in terms of returns, but the vast majority of investments are proven very well. Now, let me give you 3 examples. One, have you heard about the SSNIT thermal plant in Tema?
No, I haven't.
Right, that's adding to the national grid in terms of electricity.
Okay.
That brings in some money. I'm sure you've heard of Africa World Airlines.
Yes.
Absolutely. SSNIT has got shares in that one.
Right.
Another typical example. When SSNIT decided to cede off the Trust Bank and give it over to EcoBank Ghana, SSNIT ended up with 16.9% in EcoBank. Just in May, SSNIT was given 13 million Ghana cedis as its dividends for last year. That's for 2012.
Wow. Okay.
All this comes in. If you look at most of the high-rise buildings around the, have you seen the Rich area?
Yes.
Those high-rise buildings.
Yes.
Premier Towers, Pyramid Tower, and 90% of them belong to SSNIT.
Wow.
And all these bring in those sort of investments.
Right.
In terms of social responsibility, you know about the Trust Hospital.
Yes.
You know about the specialist wing. You know about the Danceman flats. You know about the Adenta flats, the Community Free Timer flats, Klagon. So many investments are there. So these are there for people to see. And recently, government is trying to encourage us to go back into these affordable housing.
Yes.
Management will take a decision on that in conjunction with government and see where it can go. But basically, there are loads of things that many of the banks SSNIT got shares in, and then some of the companies in terms of SSNIT also got shares in them that are bringing in, so that money that comes in can be used to buffet the pensions that are paid. Because like I said, salaries are low in this country.
Yes.
And as such, if it's going to be solely based on what you did, then people wouldn't be earning any amount in terms of their pensions.
Okay. Now, is there going to be some kind of campaign to let people know about this? Because I'm sitting here myself, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm contributing to my SSNIT, I'm making my SSNIT contributions, and yes, it will give me a cushion at the end of it. But when you're going to invest into something, you want to know, like you said, that there is, a cushion at the end of it. Is there going to be some kind of public awareness, or
it's been done? It's always done every year. Go to various radio stations, go to various TV stations, and that's probably why TV3 invited us here. We also have a structured program where people write to us, and we do go out. And if it's in the regions, we've got what we call our corporate affairs representatives.
Okay.
Scattered all over the country, and they go out and talk on those local radio stations, as well as to companies, to offices, to schools, to mosques, to synagogues, to whatever you have.
Wow.
And that's the essence of it, making sure people are aware about, one, their responsibilities, and
yes,
more importantly, what the employer should be doing.
Okay. We're going to be opening up the phone lines right about now. You see your number, or the number on the bottom of your screen. If you want to give us a call and speak to myself and Mr. Kaltu for the Public Education Manager of SSNIT, maybe you have a question about pensions or specifically about your contributions towards SSNIT that Mr. Tufor could actually answer this morning. We've actually got our first caller, Ni from Takrady. Good morning, Ni.
Good morning, Ben.
How are you?
Fine, and you?
Great. I'm fine, thank you ever so much. What's your question?
I'm speaking from Takrady.
Oh, thank you.
You are looking good this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing Mr. Kaltu to the studio. Yeah, I want to ask this question. I was working with a private company, and I worked there for about 4 months. Then later, I went to another company. It was also a private company. But the first company that I worked with, I can't find the appointment letter that they gave it to me. I can't find the appointment letter that they gave it to me. And secondly, the second company that I am in now, I've worked with them for about a year now, and to this date, did not paid my net contribution, but they've been deducting it from my salary. Even when they give me the pay slip, you could see that they have deducted the net contribution, but they've not paid as of now. What do I do?
Can I just find out from you, please? Have you been to the nearest SSNIT office, in your case in Takrady? Have you been there to get your statement of account?
I went there and they told me that I should bring my previous appointment letter when I was the company that I worked with first.
And you can't find that one?
I can't find that appointment letter.
Have you had a chat with the branch manager there?
No, please.
No. Please go back and have a chat with the branch manager and explain the situation to him. But for the second one, the one that you're saying you are with, working with him or with right now, and you say no contributions, I'm going to ask for a big favor. Please go to that branch, the nearest branch, and give them the exact details. The exact details, so that they can go and inspect that company and find out why it's not being done.
Okay. I'm not the only person that is not paid. We are about, 7 or 8 people that we are in the company. And
then I'll humbly request that. I'm not too sure whether this is the right platform. But I think it's important that you just report to the branch. Let them know, so that you are not victimized. Because having come on air right now,
we don't
mention his name,
with your employers.
Your employers.
Best thing to do is speak to the branch manager
quietly and on the side, and let's sort it out from there, please.
Yeah, and they'll do their proper investigations and they will do it properly. Okay. Thank you, Neil. Thank you for calling.
And God bless you. Bye-bye.
You too, sir. You too. All right. So if there's anybody else out there who wants to give us a call this morning, the number is on the bottom of your screen. Hopefully we can give you some advice or maybe some help in regards to your pension or plans for retirement with Mr. Kaltu for here. He's a public education manager at SSNIT. Now, and let's talk about retirement in general. I mean, actually, pay slips. Not a lot of people actually do get their pay slips. So, I mean, how is it that they can actually find out if their contributions are being made?
Well, that's how do I put it? That's not within our mandate if they're not giving them pay slips. But ideally, you would expect them to give them pay slips.
Yes.
What they can do is come to the nearest branch office and get a statement of account.
Right.
The statement of account will actually indicate January 2012, February 2013, March 2014, and show how much, whether it's been paid or not. And then you know for a fact.
So in order to do that, what would they need? Their SNP number and
SS number so key, social security number so key.
Yeah.
Because you're Benny, but let's assume you're Benny Achampo, and I'm Benjamin. Will then use that one. But critical thing, you have a unique SS number that's to you and you alone.
Yeah.
So once you code that number, you go onto the computer and it pops it up and presto.
All right, great stuff. We've got Godfred on the line right now. Good morning, Godfred.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. What's your contribution or your question?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's your question?
My question is that what happens to a man who has paid his NIT throughout his working age, he is 60 years after starting, died on his 60 years age. What benefit for his family or for her children receive due to the contribution that he has made? And what happens to a man who has paid and in 50 years old and died? What happens to his contribution?
I didn't get the question though.
Sorry, could you repeat yourself, please? Sorry, the line is a bit muffled. You said what happens if you've made your contributions for 50 years? Is that right? Okay, Godfred, we've lost you, but if you can,
I think basically, well, I think I have an idea of where it's coming from. Now, assuming that you have made your contributions and you've gone on retirement,
yes,
at the age of 60, and you're about 62 or 63, and you die, there's something we have called survivors' benefits.
Okay.
When you register with SSNIT, you're supposed to have a list of nominees,
right,
in case you die,
right,
either before or even when you're at pension.
Right.
But the cutoff point now is 75.
Okay.
Okay. So if that happens and you die, let's say you're in retirement, you're 62, 63, and you die, your nominees
will be the beneficiaries.
But it will be a one-off payment,
right,
and will be based on your contributions.
Yes.
Critical thing here is that it's also part of the law and the children, in the sense that if you have nominees who are under the age of 18, regardless of what you have put there in terms of percentages, because let's assume that I die, my daughter has 10%, my wife has 10%, and maybe quotation marks, my girlfriend has 80%.
Yeah.
If my daughter's name is there and she's under 18 at the time in which I die, in which the claim is made, then 60% will go to the children.
Okay.
And then the remaining 40% will be shared in the proportion. Absolutely.
Wow. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Carl. I'm getting more. We've got Emmanuel on the line right now. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Yeah. My question goes to my good friend Katupo. The problem is, when you are employed as a lay person, we don't know, even some of us even don't know about me.
Emmanuel,
and
please
sometimes
lower your television for me, please. Lower your television. We're hearing duplicate voices.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, lower your television and then ask the question.
Sometimes you have to go asking people where is the SSNIT, your branch or whatever it is. But I want to ask if they own it as a duty that they can even go to the company, meet some people in orders that they can go and check companies that most of the companies they do that and yet they don't pay. It's not just to me, it's happened to me. I worked with the company for 3 months. After that, I have to leave with another company. I don't even, the 3 months which I worked with the old company, they pay or not. I don't know. So I want to ask my friend Kati, so if they can put some measures in order so that I think they can check security and the company. Because I know some of them are not paying, and some do pay. So I want to contribute to tell him if they can do that. Some of us doesn't know at all whether they did that or not. At the end of the day, as a construction work, they say, okay, the work is over. They will be off. You don't know how much they need
to get a statement of account. That doesn't cost you a penny.
Right.
If you get to the nearest SSNIT office to you, you can get your statement of account, and then we'll know, and then you can make a complaint there, and that will be obviously forwarded to the task force. But yes, the task force are being proactive, and they do go out there, and that is how come certain companies are now getting their name published, and the Saturday courts are going on.
Okay, now one of the callers did mention that they had pay slips, and I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, what is some of the documentation that you may require if you are going to go to a branch to go and find out about your contributions? He mentioned an appointment letter. He's been told to go and try and find the first appointment letter of his job. I mean, what kind of documents will support helping us to help you?
Absolutely. I mean, the appointment letter is key. That way then we'll know exactly when you started, because that shows that May of 2014 was when I actually started.
Yes.
That's very, very important. Your SS number, you have a card with it, that goes with it, and that should obviously be a key thing. And once that pops up on the screen, you sometimes see what we call gaps.
Right.
Let me be the first to acknowledge that sometimes those gaps are not the fault of employers. Sometimes it could be a minor mistake on our part, but those are easily reconcilable, because when we do go to the company, when we go cross-check the books, we can find that, oh, the fault is here.
Right.
But within the public sector, sometimes there is, there are some people under the Controller and Accountant General department, and theirs may not necessarily come every month, but it does come eventually. That's the critical thing. It will get there eventually. Okay. So if you do see a gap, let's say you've worked for, let's say, argument for like 9 months in the year, and you find out that we've only got up to June, it doesn't mean it has come. It will not be paid. But in the case of the Controller and Accountant General, it can sometimes delay a wee bit. Okay. So, but it does come eventually.
All right. Now, you've mentioned there's a task force going around that can come and check people's books in their companies at any point in time. What is it that employers need to look out for? Because, for instance, okay, I'm going to continue with that in a second. We do have another caller on the line. Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
Sadiq.
Sadiq, and where are you calling from?
Traveling.
All right, what's your question, Sadiq?
Please, I would like to find out whether SSNIT contribution is limited to some kind of workers. Because, for instance, NYC now leader, I don't see like there's no beneficiary who's contributing, who is a SSNIT contributor, and I want to find out why.
Did you say white people or what?
I'm sorry.
Hello.
Right. Now, Jida is talking about
yes,
NYP.
NYP
Okay.
and Jida.
Let's get it clear, boss. The situation is, the law says that where there is an employer-employee relationship, unless exempted by law, you've got to pay SSNIT. Now, there are certain categories of people who are not part of this Pension Act.
Okay.
Officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Right.
The law is there. Listen carefully. The Electoral Commissioner, not the workers in the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
The Chief Justice, the Commissioner on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. These are some of the categories who are not covered by this law.
Right.
But anybody else, where there is a worker-employee relationship, it's got to happen. Even if you're an expatriate, you must then bring us a letter showing that you're contributing in your country.
In your country, yeah.
2, and that you'll be here for what they call a temporary period. A temporary period must not be more than 2 years. I think it's 2 or 3, I'm not too sure. But it's there. These things have been all cross-checked and balanced. So by law, everybody's supposed to pay those unless those exempted.
Okay. All right, so unless you're the commissioner for Shraj, forget. Okay, we've got another person on the line. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Daniel calling from Bukwasi.
Good morning, Daniel. What's your question?
Yeah, my question has to do with the situation whereby we have a lot of people in the public sector who are benefiting from the SSNIT.
Okay.
And this one, the question I wanted to ask is that once someone becomes a government official, he has to forgo all his whatever work he was doing. So I want to ask if it's possible for them to retrieve your money in case you become, for instance, a minister. When someone becomes a minister, can't he benefit from the SSNIT program?
The law is explicit. Sounding like a broken record here. Where there's an employer-employee relationship, that's it.
That's it.
Period. So
I think maybe if you can just let them know, give them the list again of the people who are exempt from this.
It's officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Armed Forces, yep.
Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice.
Now, not an
emphasis commissioner.
Right.
Electoral Commissioner.
Yep.
Chief Justice. I can't remember them all offhand.
Yeah.
But if you take the law, it's there, black and white. So there is no excuse for it. It doesn't say if you're a minister or you are a government official.
Yeah, they still have to pay those contributions. All right, well, that's been it from us this morning. I want to say a big thank you to Carl, for Public Education Manager at SSNIT, for coming in this morning and enlightening us a little bit more about the law and the fact that you need to contribute towards SSNIT. And if you're like me and want to retire early, well, you've got to beat me to it. We'll be back in just a few minutes.